Hi everyone, welcome to Baking with Mon. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorites, and that's scones. So I've made raspberry and white chocolate today, but I'm going to show you a beautiful recipe which is great for any variation, and they're delicious. They are so good, and I've got a morning tea to go to this morning, and these are going to be perfect. So to make our beautiful light fluffy scones today, I've got 375 grams of self-raising flour. I've got 80 grams of unsalted butter. Now I've just chopped this up into small cubes. I've got 250 mils of milk, and I've got a tablespoon of caster sugar. And then I've got my little extras over here, which I always tend to add things to scones, whether that's to make them savory or sweet. And today I've got some frozen raspberries and I've got some white chocolate. But you can just leave them plain if you like. I just love to add a little bit of flavour to my ones. So today what I want to do is I want to put my caster sugar into my flour and just give that a little mix. Now with scones, it's all about just working with your hands. That's the key to making the perfect scone. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my cubed butter. And you also want to preheat your oven at 220 degrees. You need a really hot oven for these scones. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just rubbing in my butter into my flour. So just like this. And this just doesn't take too long. You can do it in the processor, but I find that it just rubs the butter into the scones, into the flour just a little bit too much. It will make them a little bit tough. So the best way to make a light and fluffy scone is by hand. So this usually takes about 5 minutes, and you want to get it until it resembles breadcrumbs, so that most of your butter has gone into your flour mixture, but there's still like little lumps, because that's what's going to make our scones nice and light and fluffy. Still a couple of little lumps. And you can also make pumpkin scones too. Pumpkin scones are really, really yummy. So you do exactly the same thing as these ones, but you just add in probably about maybe 100 grams of grated pumpkin. You don't need to cook it beforehand. And then I tend to add in like some chives or some herbs and stuff. It's a bit of salt and pepper, and they're beautiful. They're so yummy. I love pumpkin scones. I'll add that variation into my recipe underneath as well. I'll give you a couple of ideas. Okay, so that's looking really good. Okay. So that's what you want your mixture to look like. It's nice and crumbly. It just looks like breadcrumbs, literally. So now we're ready to add in our milk. So you just want to pour that in. And then you want to grab a spoon, just a metal spoon, and just mix that in gently. Now the key is not to overwork your scones, because they're going to become dense. So you really want to just gently add in the milk. Okay, so that's formed a loose dough now, which is exactly what I want. So that's how it's meant to look. And then you want to add in your variation. So today I've got my white chocolate. Add in all my white chocolate. And I've got my frozen raspberries. So I'm just going to crumble them a little bit, because that way they're going to fall in throughout my scones. And that's how I want them to be. You can just like gently add them in whole if you like. But I like the raspberries to go throughout my dough. So then what I'm going to do is, with your variation, you want to just get your hands in there and just gently fold that through. So I'm ready to roll out my dough. Now what I want to do is I want to grab some plain flour and just dust my bench. And you want to roll them out, not too much, just gently, and until they're about 2 centimeters thick. And you will find that with the berry ones, that the berries will start to come out on your rolling pin and everything, but that's fine. There we go. So that's about 2 centimeters thick. Now I've got my cookie cutter here, my round cutter, which is about about 8 centimeters, I'd say. I like to do big scones. So you just want to cut those out so you can see how thick they are. But they're going to rise up and they're going to be beautiful. So I'm going to grab your tray, and you don't need to line it with any baking paper or anything. All you want to do is you just want to dust it with flour. So then pop your scones, and it's just a little bit thick. There we go. Okay, so you want to cut these out and just pop them straight onto the tray. That's ready to go into the oven. So my oven's at 220 degrees, and I'm going to pop these in for about 15 minutes until they've risen and they're golden on the top. So I've just taken our scones out of the oven. They've risen, they look absolutely beautiful. And look at this, they're perfect. You can see the raspberry and white chocolate in between it. They look absolutely delicious. So I'll just cut one of these in half. And they're so crumbly. Okay. Look at that. You can still see the steam coming off of them. So I'm going to serve these with some raspberry jam and a little bit of cream, and they're going to be perfect for a morning tea.